This message wasn't intended for the masses. It wasn't created for those comfortable with mediocrity or those who settled for less than their divine assignment. Chosen one, God said He will make you rich. This is not a motivational statement. It's a prophetic declaration directly from heaven's counsel. The wealth coming to you isn't just financial, it's authority, wisdom, influence, and supernatural favor that money cannot buy. Your spirit is being stirred right now because this message found you by divine appointment. The timing is precise. What you're feeling in this moment is heaven confirming what has already been decreed over your life. Chosen one, before we go deeper, pause for a moment. If this message is already speaking to your spirit, don't just watch silently. Subscribe now so you don't miss the confirmations God sends your way. You know how the enemy tries to distract you right when you need a word the most. You've been wondering why everything has been so difficult. Why doors closed when your intentions were pure. Why favor seemed to rest on others while you remained hidden. This confusion was not accidental, it was strategic. Your prosperity was delayed because of its magnitude. What's coming to you required deeper preparation. The enemy has been fighting your financial breakthrough because he sees what's attached to it. Your wealth isn't just for comfort, it's for kingdom impact. It's not just for status, it's for legacy. The resistance you faced is confirmation of the threat your assignment poses to darkness. God says, I trusted you with pain because I can trust you with prosperity. Every tear, every moment of lack, every season where nothing made sense, these weren't punishment, they were qualification. Heaven was watching as you remained faithful when it made no logical sense to do so. The wealth coming to you carries purpose. It's covenant-based prosperity, not chance. It's not rooted in market fluctuations or human connections. It's established by divine decree. What God promised you cannot be blocked by economic downturns or global instability. This divine interruption marks the end of delay. Heaven is addressing you directly because your season has shifted. The preparation is complete. You are now moving from the hidden place to the place of influence, from scarcity to abundance, from being overlooked to being divinely positioned. Chosen one, when God says He will make you rich, it is already done in the Spirit. Your part is simply to align with what heaven has already decreed. The isolation you've experienced wasn't abandonment, it was strategic protection. When relationships suddenly ended, when invitations stopped, when you found yourself increasingly alone, God wasn't punishing you, He was positioning you. What appeared as rejection was actually divine selection. Heaven separated you because what's being entrusted to you requires uncommon focus and undistracted attention. God doesn't develop chosen vessels in crowded rooms. He calls them apart. You followed divine instruction, even when it made no logical sense. You obeyed when it cost you reputation, comfort, and connection. People questioned your decisions, your boundaries, and your priorities. They called you extreme, difficult, or too spiritual. What they didn't understand was that you were responding to a voice they couldn't hear. Every relationship that dissolved was divinely permitted. Each person who walked away created space for what God needed to build within you. The connections that couldn't handle your growth season were never meant for your elevation season. Heaven was monitoring who had access to you during this crucial formation period. The enemy sent people to drain your energy, distract your focus, and dilute your anointing, but God removed them before they could accomplish their assignment. What felt like painful rejection was actually divine protection from destiny contamination. Your character was being refined in isolation. Your discernment was being sharpened. Your spiritual authority was being established without audience or applause. In the quietness, you learned to recognize God's voice with clarity that will be crucial for the wealth management decisions ahead. This season of being overlooked wasn't punishment, it was preservation. Like Joseph in prison, David in the wilderness, and Esther in preparation, your hiddenness was purposeful. God shields what He's still developing. He conceals what carries extraordinary value until the appointed time of revelation. Now heaven is declaring that your isolation assignment is complete. The divine separation that felt like punishment was preparing you for prosperity that requires uncommon wisdom, unshakable character, and uncompromised values. What you built in the secret place will now sustain you in the spotlight. There has been an intense, calculated attack against your financial breakthrough. This wasn't random misfortune or bad luck. It was targeted warfare against your covenant of abundance. The enemy doesn't fight what carries no threat. The level of resistance reveals the weight of your assignment. Your ideas were sabotaged. Your opportunities vanished mysteriously. Promises from people suddenly evaporated. Contracts were unexpectedly cancelled. These weren't coincidences. They were coordinated attacks against your destined wealth because of what that wealth will fund in the kingdom. The patterns became too consistent to ignore. Whenever you approached your breakthrough moment, unexpected crisis would demand your resources. Whenever your vision gained momentum, strange obstacles appeared. This wasn't imagination, it was opposition from forces that recognized your financial anointing before you did. The attacks intensified because your prosperity threatens demonic agendas. Your wealth isn't just for personal comfort, it carries assignment. It will fund kingdom initiatives. It will break generational curses. It will establish righteousness in places darkness has controlled through poverty. That unexpected bill, that sudden expense, that strange financial drain, these weren't punishment. They were desperate attempts to keep you in lack because your abundance will fuel revival. Your prosperity will commission ministries. Your resources will restore what the enemy has destroyed. When others with less commitment and character prospered while you struggled, it wasn't because heaven overlooked you. It was because the enemy recognized that your wealth comes with authority he cannot control. Shallow prosperity requires no warfare because it carries no threat. God allowed this resistance to develop your spiritual muscles for wealth management. Every attack was training. Every delay was preparation. The warfare itself is confirmation of your financial calling. What's fought most fiercely is what carries most significance. Now, heaven declares, the season of financial interference is ending. What was delayed is being released with interest. What was stolen is returning multiplied. The warfare itself has qualified you for wealth with wisdom. The betrayal you experienced wasn't a setback, it was set up for divine elevation. Those who smiled in your presence but undermined you in your absence were not just revealing their character, they were fulfilling a necessary role in your promotion story. People accessed your wisdom, your kindness, your resources, and your anointing, but returned none of it. They received your light, but resented your growth. They benefited from your gifts, but blocked your advancement. This wasn't accidental. It was a strategic attempt to delay your destiny. Some competed with you silently while claiming friendship. Some copied your vision while criticizing your methods. Some harvested from your ideas while questioning your credibility. Heaven was watching everything. Nothing was missed. No betrayal went unnoticed. These betrayals served divine purpose. Like Joseph's brothers, Judas's kiss, and Absalom's rebellion, your traitors were unknowingly positioning you for promotion. Every person who rejected, abandoned, or betrayed you was creating space for divine replacement with genuine covenant connections. God is now addressing environments that limited your increase. Places where your gift was welcome, but your growth was resisted. Relationships that wanted your anointing, but rejected your authority. Connections that drained you emotionally, spiritually, and financially while offering nothing in return. The season of access without honor has ended. The season of explaining yourself to those who never intended to understand has concluded. God is separating you from people who maintained connection only to monitor your movements and manage your rise. This separation isn't punishment, it's promotion. It's not rejection, it's redirection. Every betrayal has been documented in heaven's courts. Every tear has been collected. Every moment of being misunderstood while maintaining integrity has qualified you for relationships that match your assignment. Your elevation will confuse those who thought they had you figured out. Your prosperity will shock those who dismissed your potential. The betrayal that was meant to destroy you has instead distinguished you for uncommon favor and accelerated restoration. This exact moment was scheduled before creation. Your eyes finding these words is not coincidence, it's covenant timing. Heaven has marked this day on your spiritual calendar as a turning point. The wealth promise sealed in your spiritual DNA is now activating. What you're feeling right now that's stirring in your spirit, that sense of recognition, is your spirit responding to truth it has always known. Your soul is catching up to what heaven declared over you before you took your first breath. The covenant of prosperity spoken over your life is now shifting from promise to manifestation. This wealth activation carries specific terms that differ from worldly prosperity. It's not just money, it's authority, influence, favor, wisdom, and supernatural provision. It's not for display, it's for deployment. It's not for status, it's for service. Heaven is releasing resources not to elevate your ego, but to establish your assignment. The terms of this covenant require alignment. Alignment with heaven's timing, heaven's methods, heaven's purposes. Wealth without wisdom destroys, but wealth guided by God establishes legacy. The prosperity coming to you carries responsibility because it's connected to kingdom advancement. God is not making you wealthy to impress those who doubted you. He's not prospering you to silence critics or validate your worth. This wealth carries assignment. It will fund visions too heavy for others to carry. It will establish initiatives that have been waiting for resources. It will create infrastructure for kingdom purposes that others deemed impossible. The activation happening right now requires your participation. Your words must align with heaven's decree. Your actions must reflect confidence in what God has promised. Your decisions must honor the covenant that's being activated. Your stewardship must match the magnitude of the blessing. This covenant activation marks the end of delay and the beginning of display. What God has been developing in hiddenness is now being revealed in the open. The wealth that enemies fought to block is now being released, with heavenly interest added to every delayed blessing. Listen, I know you're watching quietly, just taking everything in. But chosen ones like you don't come across these messages by accident. If this is touching your soul, hit that subscribe button. Don't keep walking through spiritual warfare alone when a whole family of chosen ones is right here with you. Your journey to elevation has faced calculated opposition. This resistance wasn't random, it was strategic warfare against the specific gifts heaven placed within you. The enemy doesn't waste resources fighting what poses no threat. The level of attack confirms the weight of your calling. Dreams that seemed delayed were actually being defended. Vision that appeared stalled was being fortified. The waiting wasn't punishment, it was protection. God was strengthening your character to handle the wealth that's now being released. Prosperity without preparation leads to destruction. The opposition intensified as you approached breakthrough. Strange obstacles appeared, unusual resistance manifested, unexpected roadblocks emerged. This wasn't coincidence, it was confirmation that your next level carries impact that threatens darkness. Your prosperity is dangerous to demonic agendas because of what it will fund. The pressure you endured wasn't meant to break you, but to build capacity within you. Like a muscle that grows stronger under resistance, your spiritual authority developed through opposition. The attacks that were meant to destroy you have instead distinguished you for uncommon favor. There were invisible barriers placed against your advancement limitations that couldn't be explained naturally. Ceiling that restricted your growth without logical reason. These weren't imaginary, they were spiritual constructs designed to contain your influence and restrict your resources. Heaven has been dismantling these barriers systematically. The opposition that once blocked you is now becoming the platform that displays you. The very forces that fought your rise are becoming the stage for your elevation. What the enemy meant for destruction, God is using for distinction. Your rise carries purpose beyond personal comfort. The wealth being released to you will establish righteousness in places darkness has controlled through poverty. Your prosperity threatens systems built on lack. Your abundance challenges narratives that justified oppression. This is why the resistance has been so fierce. The warfare itself has qualified you for the wealth. The opposition confirmed the threat your assignment poses. Now heaven declares, what fought you will soon bow to you. What resisted you will soon respond to you. The season of battling for breakthrough has ended. The season of breaking through barriers has begun. God develops his chosen ones in isolation. The wilderness wasn't a punishment, it was your classroom. The silence wasn't abandonment, it was strategic training. What appeared as delay was actually divine development, preparing you for the wealth now being released. Your growth wasn't visible to human eyes. While others assumed you were stuck, heaven was establishing foundations that could support massive blessing. Like David tending sheep in obscurity before kingship, your hiddenness was qualification for your coming prominence. The testing seasons stretched your faith beyond comfortable limits. When provision came at the last moment, when solutions appeared just before collapse, God wasn't being cruel. He was teaching you to trust his timing completely. Wealth requires this level of trust to manage properly. Your spiritual muscles grew stronger in silence. Prayers that seemed unanswered were actually building perseverance. Faith that continued despite contradicting circumstances developed tenacity that wealth requires. Handling prosperity demands stronger character than handling poverty. What looked like nothing happening was actually everything happening beneath the surface. Like a seed in darkness that must develop roots before showing evidence of life, your foundation was being established in the unseen realm. This invisible growth now enables visible increase. The skills you developed when no one was watching now qualify you for responsibility when everyone is watching. The integrity you maintained in private now authorizes you for influence in public. The faithfulness you demonstrated in lack now positions you for abundance beyond measure. Heaven monitored every tear, every question, every moment of obedience that made no logical sense. Nothing was wasted, nothing was missed. Every test was measurement of your readiness for wealth that carries kingdom weight and eternal significance. Now heaven declares, your preparation season is complete. What was developed in darkness is ready for display in light. The training that seemed endless was actually perfectly timed for the wealth transfer now beginning. Your wilderness wasn't wasted, it was wisdom being formed. Your current position is not accident, it's divine assignment. God has been arranging circumstances, relationships, and opportunities to place you exactly where you need to be for the coming wealth release. What seemed like random events were calculated moves on heaven's chessboard. Spiritual authorities have been watching your response to pressure. Angels have documented your faithfulness when quitting made more sense than continuing. Heaven has recorded your worship in warfare, your generosity in lack, your forgiveness when wounded. Nothing escaped divine notice. The limitations that once restricted your growth are now being systematically removed. Barriers that blocked your advancement are falling without human effort. Ceilings that contained your increase are being shattered by divine decree. What confined, you cannot contain what God is releasing to you. Connections carrying pieces of your destiny are being divinely introduced. People with authority, influence, and resources are being strategically aligned with your assignment. These aren't random meetings, they're supernatural introductions orchestrated by heaven to position you for prosperity. Doors that were firmly shut despite your best efforts are now opening without your striving. Opportunities previously denied are suddenly appearing with urgency attached. This isn't coincidence, it's divine timing, aligning with your prepared character and matured calling. The place you occupy in the Spirit is shifting. Your authority is expanding. Your influence is increasing. Your voice carries greater weight. This repositioning isn't just geographic or professional. It's spiritual elevation that changes how heaven responds to your declarations. What seemed like wasted years were actually precise preparation. Where you stand now is exactly where you need to be to receive what heaven is releasing. Your position may make no logical sense, but it makes perfect strategic sense in the spirit realm. God has positioned you where your gifts will shine brightest, where your authority will function strongest, where your prosperity will impact greatest. The positioning feels uncomfortable only because it's unfamiliar, not because it's incorrect. Trust the divine placement that precedes uncommon prosperity. The wealth transfer prophesied for generations is now in motion. Resources are being supernaturally redirected to those positioned with kingdom purpose. This isn't speculation, it's manifestation. The shift in the spirit is affecting physical resources, financial systems, and economic patterns. What was withheld is being released with interest. What was delayed is accelerating with supernatural speed. The compensation for your seasons of lack is coming in forms that exceed what was stolen. God doesn't just restore, He multiplies. He doesn't just replace, He increases. Unexpected favor is appearing in places previously closed to you. People who never noticed your value are suddenly recognizing your worth. Opportunities that were denied despite your qualification are now being offered without your application. This isn't coincidence, it's covenant activation. Resources are finding you rather than you chasing resources. Provision is pursuing you rather than you pursuing provision. This supernatural attraction isn't based on human networks or worldly systems. It's based on divine decree and heavenly assignment. The release happening now isn't gradual, it's accelerated. What should have taken years is manifesting in months. What should have required decades is appearing in days. Time compression is part of your compensation package. The enemy stole time, but God controls time. What was delayed is being compressed for rapid manifestation. Your prayers are becoming visible answers. Your declarations are becoming tangible realities. Your faith-filled words are becoming physical resources. The transfer isn't just financial. It's authority, influence, favor, wisdom, and supernatural access to places previously restricted. God is bypassing human gatekeepers to position his resources in the hands of proven stewards. Systems designed to restrict kingdom wealth are being divinely overridden. Limitations created to contain your increase are being supernaturally removed. The transfer cannot be stopped by human interference because it wasn't started by human initiative. Heaven declares, "What flows to you now will fund what heaven has shown you." The prosperity isn't just for provision, it's for purpose. The wealth isn't just for comfort, it's for commission. The resources aren't just for stability, they're for kingdom strategy. As your elevation becomes visible, opposition intensifies. This isn't punishment, it's confirmation. The enemy doesn't fight what carries no threat. The increased resistance is evidence of imminent breakthrough. The warfare doesn't indicate failure, it announces promotion. Last-minute attacks come with desperate intensity. Just before manifestation, circumstances may appear to contradict everything God promised. Confusion, delay, and unexpected obstacles may suddenly emerge. These aren't signs of divine abandonment, they're final attempts to block what cannot be stopped. False accusations often precede divine elevation. Your character may be questioned, your motives challenged, your integrity attacked. Like Joseph before promotion, David before kingship, and Jesus before resurrection, your reputation may face assault before your elevation is complete. People may misrepresent your words, question your calling, or challenge your authority. This isn't random, it's strategic. The enemy uses accusation to create doubt, distraction, and disqualification right before breakthrough. What looks like destruction is actually confirmation of imminent display. Divine vindication doesn't always come through explanation, it comes through elevation. God doesn't always defend you with words, he defends you with results. Your prosperity will silence accusations more effectively than your protests ever could. Your blessing will validate your character when words could not. This final resistance reveals what's been fighting you all along. Forces that operated in shadows now become visible in their desperation. What attacked subtly now attacks openly. This exposure isn't setback, it's strategy. God allows hidden opposition to become visible right before it's defeated. Breaking through this final resistance requires steadfast focus. Your attention must remain on promise, not problems. On covenant, not circumstances. On God's faithfulness, not visible obstacles. The opposition seems strongest precisely when it's most desperate, when it knows it cannot stop what heaven has decreed. Heaven declares, "Stand firm in this final confrontation. What's fighting you cannot defeat you. What's opposing you cannot overcome you." The intensity of the battle reveals the value of what's being contested. Your elevation carries kingdom significance that threatens darkness. Stop right here. If you haven't subscribed yet, ask yourself why. Every time you search for clarity, every time you feel overwhelmed, God guides you to messages like this. Don't reject what heaven is trying to give you. Subscribe so you stay connected to the voice that lifts you when no one else does. The doors now opening before you aren't random, they're divinely orchestrated. Heaven is creating access points that no human could arrange, pathways that no earthly connection could establish. These opportunities carry distinct markers that separate divine invitation from mere distraction. Divine doors open with supernatural timing that aligns perfectly with your preparation. They appear not when you feel ready, but when heaven knows you're prepared. They match the vision God planted in your heart during seasons of isolation and testing. They resonate with your spirit beyond logical explanation. Not everything that opens is meant for you to enter. Discernment is crucial in this season of multiple opportunities. Some doors are tests of character, attractive options that lead away from divine assignment. Others are divine appointments, destiny connections that accelerate your purpose. When heaven opens a door, peace accompanies invitation. Confusion, anxiety, and desperation are not God's messengers. Divine opportunities carry confirmation that transcends circumstances. Multiple witnesses in the Spirit validate heaven's direction. Confirmation comes through unexpected sources that couldn't have coordinated their messages. The timing of these doors reveals their source. Opportunities that arrive precisely when needed, not too early, not too late, carry heaven's fingerprints. Provision that appears exactly when required demonstrates divine arrangement. Connections that form at the precise moment of necessity show supernatural coordination. What seemed delayed is now accelerating beyond natural progression. Years of preparation are being honored with moments of elevation. Decades of faithfulness are being rewarded with sudden advancement. This acceleration isn't coincidental, it's compensation for seasons of patient obedience. God is giving you clarity to recognize divine invitation amid countless options. Wisdom to distinguish good opportunities from God opportunities. Discernment to separate appealing distractions from appointed directions. The doors that align with your divine assignment will require faith but confirm purpose. Heaven declares, move precisely when directed, not before, not after. Divine timing carries protection and provision that human timing cannot access. The opportunities now appearing are connected to the wealth God promised, not just financial increase, but kingdom influence that establishes lasting impact. The prosperity coming to you operates by different principles than worldly wealth. It's governed by covenant, not competition, by stewardship, not ownership. This distinction separates those who handle wealth temporarily from those who establish lasting legacy. Kingdom resources carry divine protection that market fluctuations cannot touch. While economic systems rise and fall, covenant wealth remains stable because its source isn't human systems, but divine promise. What God establishes, circumstances cannot diminish. What heaven releases, earth cannot restrict. God is creating unconventional income streams that human wisdom couldn't devise. Revenue channels that defy logical explanation. Provision systems that operate outside normal economic patterns. These supernatural supply lines bypass human gatekeepers who would restrict kingdom advancement through financial limitation. The wealth building in your hands extends beyond your lifetime. It's not just for immediate needs, but for generational impact. Not just for current projects, but for future provision. Not just for personal security, but for kingdom establishment. God entrusts multi-generational blessing to those who think beyond themselves. Sudden financial increase requires proper management. The transfer coming to you demands wisdom beyond natural understanding. God is giving you supernatural strategies for wealth multiplication that business schools don't teach, divine insight for resource management that financial advisors cannot access. This wealth operates with distinct purpose. It funds kingdom initiatives that transform communities. It establishes righteousness in places controlled by corruption. It creates systems that reflect heaven's values rather than worldly priorities. It demonstrates God's goodness to those who've only experienced lack. The covenant wealth promised to you comes with both privilege and responsibility. The blessing brings accountability. The prosperity carries purpose. The abundance demands stewardship. This isn't burden, it's honor. God entrusts resources to those who align their values with His heart. Heaven declares, what's being released to you isn't just money. It's kingdom authority expressed through financial means. Not just currency, but currency, the flow of divine influence through economic channels. Not just wealth, but wealthy, the extension of God's healing and restoration through resource distribution. As your elevation becomes visible, people from your past will suddenly reappear. Some who ignored you will now seek you. Some who rejected you will claim they always believed in you. Some who walked away will act as if they never left. This isn't imagination, it's manifestation of what God warned about your season of increase. Discernment is critical now. Not everyone who returns deserves access to your elevated position. Not every reconnection attempt is divinely approved. Some return because they sense blessing, not because they value connection. They're drawn to your resources, not your relationship. God is giving you supernatural insight to distinguish between genuine alignments and opportunistic associations. True connections resonate with your spirit beyond logical explanation. Authentic relationships carry mutual benefit, not one-sided extraction. Divine partnerships bring peace, not anxiety. Your elevated position requires stronger boundaries than previous seasons. What was acceptable during your development phase becomes dangerous in your deployment phase. Your assignment is too important to be compromised by connections that drain rather than develop, that take rather than contribute. Some relationships require divine reconciliation before restoration. Healing must precede reconnection. Accountability must accompany access. Patterns must change before partnerships resume. This isn't punishment, it's protection. It's not rejection, it's responsible stewardship of what God has entrusted to you. Not everyone from your past is excluded from your future. God is identifying specific relationships that carry complementary assignment. People whose gifts complete what's missing in your vision. Connections whose strengths address your limitations. Partnerships that multiply impact rather than merely adding support. Peace is more valuable than familiarity. Alignment is more important than history. Purpose supersedes comfort in this season of strategic connection. The relationships God establishes now will carry kingdom weight, eternal significance, and mutual benefit that casual connections cannot provide. Heaven declares, guard your access points carefully. Your elevation has made you attractive to many, but your assignment makes you compatible with few. Trust divine orchestration over emotional reaction. God is bringing people who belong in your future while removing those who are only meant for your past. The confidence the enemy tried to destroy is now being divinely restored. The voice that warfare attempted to silence is now being supernaturally amplified. The authority that opposition fought to diminish is now being exponentially increased. This restoration isn't gradual, it's immediate, complete, and irreversible. You're operating with new levels of spiritual authority that transcend previous limitations. What required intense struggle before now happens through simple declaration. What demanded warfare before now responds to basic instruction. What resisted your efforts before now yields to your command. Systems designed to intimidate you can no longer affect you. Structures built to contain you can no longer restrict you. Organizations established to control you can no longer limit you. This freedom isn't rebellion, it's divine authorization to function beyond human restrictions that contradicted heavenly assignment. Your words now carry manifestation power that affects both spiritual and natural realms. When you speak, circumstances rearrange to align with your declaration. When you proclaim, resources reorganize to support your announcement. When you decree, opposition dissolves to accommodate your statement. This new authority isn't based on title, position, education, background, connection, or human recognition. It's established by heaven's appointment, confirmed by covenant promise, and activated by tested character. No human can revoke what God has authorized. No system can restrict what heaven has released. Standing firmly in this authority requires holy boldness that transcends natural confidence. This isn't arrogance, it's accurate understanding of your divine position. It's not pride, it's proper alignment with heaven's perspective. You're not being self-important, you're being kingdom representative. The authority you now carry makes room for itself. It doesn't need constant assertion, explanation, or defense. It functions by divine right, not human permission. It operates through heaven's endorsement, not earth's approval. Its source is covenant, not credential. Heaven declares, walk confidently in this new authority. Speak with the certainty of divine backing. Act with the assurance of heavenly support. Move with the boldness of kingdom commission. What God has authorized, no human can unauthorize. What heaven has released, no system can restrict.